If Langley has dollar-based criminal enterprises, do you think Langley is going to try to sustain the dollar businesses in this dual universe for as long as possible? Hell yes! Okay, the next one. Number 12. Shanghai gradually wrests control of the gold market. Okay, we've got actual data. I'm checking the time. We got actual data. It's something like 20 times or 30 times the actual physical volume traded. I'm getting an echo, Bill. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, somebody just tapped into our line. Because we got a little echo here too. Nothing's been moved.
I'm hoping it'll go away. Okay. Shanghai has something like 20 to 30 times the volume.
The government's listening to them because they're telling y'all the truth.
Delivered compared to London and the LBO. That will assure that Shanghai has eventually control over the gold price. And it's not going to be a laid out sequence. I just know it's going to happen. Shanghai and China have tremendous. This echo is bothersome. I'm hearing my voice in the neck. It's hard to ignore.
Can you put the headphones up so you can't hear yourself?
Try that.
Because you're breaking up here.
So the Shanghai volume is going to grow to such an extent that they gain control over the gold trade. And right now in London, you've got some rather perverse things called exchange for physical. So they can not only falsify the demand, they can falsify the delivery. And it's rather perverse. But China has tremendous gold reserves.
Hey, Jim,
and I believe that it's going to result in China wresting control of the gold price. And lawsuits in London, defaults in London, it's just a matter of time. Okay, number 13. And I think Shanghai is starting to control the gold market price. And you're starting to see it in the form of gold price moving in concert with their currency, which tends to mean that the gold price in the Chinese currency terms is constant. Or, with a narrow range. I gotta say this, Bill. They tapped into lunch to talk about the self-silence.
You want to shut it off?
Number 14, U.S. bond market unravels as the crisis expands. I mentioned the failed auctions.
Right.
I mentioned the twin deficits.
Okay. So.
Yeah. Well, Comex doesn't deliver. I think that's kind of well known, but we haven't lost the echo. I gotta move this. What's going to happen is a lot of big players are going to start to get pissed off in London.
Right.
And they're going to make way.
Right.
And I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know who's going to do it. I don't know what is going to trigger and promote their final movements. It could be the Chinese themselves using proxy firms in London. That's one of my newer beliefs. But the Chinese are going to take control, and I don't think there's any way around it. The Chinese are going to take control of the gold market because they're the primary owners of gold. The boys told me a few years ago that the Chinese own about 110,000 tons of gold.
Wow.
And the Russians own about 25,000 tons of gold. The White Dragons own the dominant volume of the Chinese gold. What I like to do is describe the White Dragon family as the Chinese equivalent over 1,000 years, more than the American era. 1,000 years of Rockefeller, Morgan, Ford, years of Rockefeller, Morgan, Ford, years of Rockefeller, Morgan, Ford, DuPont, Stanford, Vanderbilt. Okay, those are our names. In China, they've got their names. And there are more of them, and there are more centuries involved. Does it not hold logically valid or credible that they have far more wealth accumulated than the American era did? Well, the American American here is mixed with the European wealth and elite get kind of moved over. Morgan, President John Fairport Morgan.
In a lot of corners of the internet, there is talk of a so-called global currency reset. And working in the offshore world, I hear a number of people who comment about it. And working in the offshore, in a lot of corners of the internet, there is talk of a so-called global currency reset. Corners of the internet, there is talk of a so-called global currency reset. Corners of the internet, there is talk of a so-called global currency reset. Corners of the internet, there is talk of a so-called global currency reset.